Okay, so we are going to be watching a video by capturing a Christianity called Islam's Darkest Secret, where he talks about the Satanic Verses. So let's hear what he has to say, and then let's refute this argument or this video. So let's first hear what capturing Christianity has to say.
Worshipped by the Quraysh tribe in pre-Islamic Arabia. Why would the Quran, a book that repeatedly condemns idol worship, mention these gods in such an... After all, Islam is supposed to be the purest form of monotheism, but that's not what happens. Instead, the very next verse shifts focus entirely. Is the male for you, and for him the female? This verse criticizes the Quraysh for attributing female names to angels, a seemingly unrelated point that feels sort of out of step with the gravity of the preceding verses. Why doesn't the Quran denounce these gods outright? Why this sudden pivot to an issue about angels? It's a strange detour that raises even more questions about the meaning of Lat, Uzza, and Manat in this passage, and why these names were invoked at all. Now we do know this: these verses were delivered during a critical moment in Muhammad's life. He faced growing opposition from his tribe, the Quraysh, who fiercely defended their ancestral gods. The stakes were high, and Muhammad's mission was hanging in the balance. But what happened next is one of the most controversial moments in Islamic history. Something so significant, it would later be rewritten, reinterpreted, and eventually suppressed. To uncover the truth, we need to go back to some of the earliest Islamic sources. The year is 615 AD, and Mecca is at a crossroads. Muhammad's mission is in jeopardy. His message of monotheism has alienated the Quraysh, the dominant tribe that clings fiercely to their ancient gods, Lat, Uzza, and Manat. These three goddesses are the cornerstone of their worship and identity. For years, Muhammad's denunciation of their gods has only intensified the hostility. His followers are few, his influence is fragile, the pressure to compromise is mounting. And then something extraordinary happens. The early Islamic sources, Ibn Ishaq, Tabari, and Ibn Sa'id, describe a pivotal public recitation of Surah 53, the Star. The Quraysh gather, skeptical but curious, to hear Muhammad speak. His voice resonates through the crowd. Have you considered Lat and Uzza and Manat, the third, the other? The Quraysh brace for what comes next, another condemnation of their gods? Instead, Muhammad continues with words that leave them stunned. These are the exalted cranes whose intercession is to be hoped for. For the first time, Muhammad's words appear to affirm the power and status of the Quraysh's deities. The tension in the air evaporates. According to these sources, the Quraysh are so moved by this acknowledgement that they prostrate alongside Muhammad. For a brief moment, the bitter divide between them seems to heal. Peace, it seems, is finally within reach. But this triumph is short-lived. Days later, Muhammad shocked his followers and the Quraysh by retracting the verses, claiming that they had not come from Allah, but from Satan. According to Ibn Ishaq, Jibril, known in Islamic tradition as the angel Gabriel, who delivers divine revelations, confronted Muhammad, exposing the deception. Quote, Jibril came to the messenger and said, Muhammad, what have you done? You have recited to the people that which I did not bring to you from God, and you have said that which he did not say to you. Muhammad was absolutely devastated, but he claimed God provided reassurance through another revelation. Quote, we have not sent before you a messenger or a prophet, but that when he desired, Satan cast something into his desire. Then God removes that which Satan casts and establishes his signs clearly. This new revelation amounts to a startling admission. Muhammad himself acknowledged that Satan had successfully influenced his words. The phrase, Satan cast something into his desire, explicitly confirms that Satan exploited Muhammad's internal thoughts and wishes, his longing to reconcile with his tribe, the Quraysh, to infiltrate what he believed to be divine revelation. Moreover, the verse suggests that this wasn't unique to Muhammad, but had occurred with previous prophets as well. While framed as a reassurance, it inadvertently raises a very troubling question. If Satan could deceive Muhammad once, How could his followers be certain it hadn't happened on other occasions? His signs clearly.
Okay, so what is this book? Is this book real? My channel, what is this book? Is this book reliable or unreliable? This book is unreliable. I've said this 300 times on my channel, that Ibn Ishaq is not reliable. So this idiot needs to do some more research on what Muslim scholars deem as reliable or unreliable according to proper rules of reporting. But anyways, notice what he cites here. He cites the history of Ibn Sa'd and Ibn Ishaq. Now, where's Ibn Sa'd? He's getting it from al-Waqidi, who was in Muslim circles. Even this guy, Ibn Ishaq, said. So you have the history of al-Tabari admitting that he has false stories in his collections, and Ibn Ishaq saying that the Satanic Verses story is a fabrication by the heretics. So what does that mean? It means that the story of the Satanic Verses is false, according to even the earlier historians, Ibn Ishaq and the history of al-Tabari. So the story is not authentic, according to even the earliest biographer, Ibn Ishaq. So Ibn Kathir said the story is false, Al-Razi said the story is false, al-Bakani said the story is false, etc., etc. So classical and early Muslim scholars have all rejected the Satanic Verses story. So the story can't be used as some kind of evidence against Islam, because it's a fabricated story. It's not authentic. It's not a reliable story to begin with. So I've already stated this. I've already stated this in previous videos. So if the story is discounted, if the story is false, then Satan never tricked the Prophet Muhammad, and the story is not reliable anyways, because the Quranic verse he cites, if you read Tafsir Ibn Abbas, Tafsir Ibn Kathir, etc., it's talking about, this is a general statement. This is not like prophets were sometimes deceived by Satan, because even if you read the New Testament, Jesus went mountain climbing with Satan in the Gospel of Matthew and Luke. So according to the Bible, Satan can, influence people like Jesus, etc. So that Quranic verse is just a general statement. But regardless, the Satanic Verses story is false. Christians need to stop bringing it up, because it comes from Ibn Ishaq, and I mentioned many times on my channel that Ibn Ishaq is not a reliable source of information about the Prophet Muhammad. So the story can be the story can be tossed in the garbage. It's a false story about the Prophet Muhammad that reached us without a proper, or there were liars in the chain of transmission. You know how every story or every hadith has a chain of transmission? This person said this, this person said this, this person said this person wrote this person said this, etc. So there are liars, or there are unreliable narrators, or there are liars in the chain of transmission. So some might argue, what about the criteria of embarrassment? That doesn't work here either, because of course people are going to make up non-flattering stories or problematic or embarrassing stories about the Prophet Muhammad after he died for political reasons, sectarian reasons, theological reasons, you name it. The criteria of embarrassment doesn't work, because of course people are going to make up stories about the Prophet Muhammad, after he died for whatever reason, political reason, sectarian reasons, theological reasons, you name it. People would make up stories for whatever reasons. So the Satanic Verses story is false. Christians need to stop bringing it up, and they need some kind of better arguments. I mean, the Satanic Verses story, this is not something that is new. Like Orientalists have been bringing this story up for like many years. So the story doesn't make any sense either. And many Muslim scholars like Ibn Kathir, Ibn Zawad, Ibn Qayyim, al-Bakaini, Imam Razi, etc., have rejected the story, have said the story is false, that did not reach us with the proper chain of transmission. As for the Quran, chapter 22, verse 52, this is a general statement. This verse is not talking about the incident of the Satanic Verses. This verse is saying that, messengers, it says, never did we send a messenger or a prophet before thee, but ye have framed a desire, saying through some vanity into their desire. So, but Allah will cancel anything in vain. So this is a general statement according to Tafsir ibn Abbas and Tafsir ibn Kathir. It's not, Quran chapter 22 verse 52 is not talking about the Satanic Verses incident. It's a general statement that could apply to any prophet, like Prophet Adam, Noah, Jesus, David, Solomon, Isaac, etc. It's not, the Quran chapter 22 verse 52 is not talking about the Prophet Muhammad. It's a general statement. So the conclusion here is that this proves that the Satanic Verses story is absolutely baseless and fabricated. It's a false story. Some earlier people like Ibn Ishaq and al-Tabari put it into their writing, but they did not subject it to acceptance, to rational examination and internal and external criticism, which, as we've seen, is fabricated and baseless. So the earliest writers of Islam, like Ibn Ishaq and al-Tabari, were writing anything they heard from anybody, and they weren't doing any kind of fact checking. They were just writing the Satanic Verses story without bothering to see whether it's authentic or whether it's reliably reported or not. And most of the time, there was no reliable chain of transmission that has a link to trustworthy people going all the way back to Ibn Abbas or the Prophet Muhammad himself. So the Satanic Verses story is false, according to Ibn Ishaq and according to Ibn Kathir, al-Razi, al-Bakaini, etc. So early in classical Muslim scholars have rejected the story. So if early Muslim scholars like Ibn Ishaq are saying that the story is false, then it's definitely not authentic, and we don't have to accept it according to the rules of reporting in history. So the Satanic Verses story is false according to not only classical Muslim scholars but early Muslim scholars like Ibn Ishaq as well. Stay tuned. More videos coming up ahead, refuting various critics of Islam.